Hello, this is Ms. Korzeniewski from PS11. Today I'm going to teach you the steps to take to get your brain ready to read a new book. As readers, we all know there's things we should do before we start reading a book, but sometimes we forget about exactly what to do to get ourselves ready. Taking these steps will help us to understand our books even better. Here are the tools that we will be using today. You can also print these out to use at home. We have a bookmark with steps listed, a thought bubble to remind us to stop and think, and an uh-oh to use when we make predictions about the problem. Before we start reading our book, we will look at the front cover, the blurb, and the table of contents if the book has one, and we will think what's going to happen in the story and what might the big problem be. Step 1 is to read the front cover and make sure to study the title and the pictures. This book is called Iris and Walter, the School Play. I see Iris is whispering something to Walter. They're dressed up for the play and near the curtains, so maybe they're about to go on stage. Now I'm going to think, what's going to happen in this story? Pause here to try this at home. I think Iris and Walter are going to be in a play at their school. They look like they're in bug costumes. Iris looks like she's excited, but when I study Walter's face, he looks a little nervous. Uh-oh, now I need to think, what's the big problem? Maybe the big problem is that Walter doesn't know his part, or maybe he's nervous to go on stage. His face looks nervous, and he's looking to Iris for help. It looks like Iris is whispering something to him. Step 2 is to read the back cover and the blurb. Then I'm going to think what's going to happen in the story and what's the big problem. Iris and Walter can't wait for their very first school play. Walter helps Iris make her costume. Iris helps Walter practice his lines. Everything is going perfectly. But when the big day arrives, Iris is in for a disappointment. Can Walter and Miss Cherry save the show, or will Iris's first performance be ruined? Now I'm going to think, what's going to happen in the story? Pause here to try this at home. Iris and Walter are going to be in a play. They work together to make costumes and learn their lines. In the picture, it looks like they're having fun and rehearsing for the play. So then what's the big problem? The blurb says that Iris is disappointed, so there's a problem for Iris in the show. Walter and their teacher, Miss Cherry, will try to save the show. That's different than what I thought on the cover. I'll have to read and find out what happens. Step 3 is to read the table of contents. Not all JK books have a table of contents. If your book doesn't have a table of contents, you can get started reading. This book has a table of contents, so we are going to read the chapter titles. Chapter 1 is Exciting News, Chapter 2 is Stage Fright, Chapter 3 is A Terrible Day, and Chapter 4 is Better Days. Now I'm going to think, where in the book will the problem be? The chapter titles, Stage Fright and A Terrible Day, sound like they might have the problem. Stage fright is when someone is afraid to go on stage, and A Terrible Day sounds like a big problem. When I get to those chapters, I'll really be looking for the problem in the book. Finally, we want to think, do any of the chapter titles match something we learned in the blurb? Exciting news could be when they find out that there's a school play, and Stage Fright and A Terrible Day must be the disappointment and maybe Iris's ruined day. Now that we've gone through the steps of looking at the front cover, the blurb, and the table of contents, we're ready to start reading the book. You can go through these same steps using this bookmark and tools with one of the books in your book baggie at home.